Okay, good evening and welcome to the Georgetown School Committee meeting of Monday, September 12th, 2016. It's very odd to say Monday, but we are here on a Monday. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I do want to start off the meeting with approval of warrants number 11 V17 and number 10 P17.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. No student rep yet?
Not yet.
Do we know who it is?
Yes.
Okay, will they be coming to the next one?
Yes.
Great. I look forward to that. I always look forward to hearing how the first week or so of school is going. Okay, as far as the audience, do we have anyone in the audience that would like to talk about anything
I do.
this evening? Okay, great, come on up. If you could just state your name and your address, please.
Deborah Larson,
Please sit
Patriot
down.
Union, Georgetown.
Hi.
Hi. I'm here to petition the school council to allow my daughter to attend preschool because she just misses the cutoff by 15 days.
Kindergarten?
Kindergarten, sorry, yeah, kindergarten. And a new law was just amended, or a law was just amended, January 13, 2015, by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that states any child who turns 5 at the beginning of September or in the calendar year can attend kindergarten. So let's consider that law there. And Emma has already done 2 years of preschool, so if she stays behind, she'll be doing another 3rd year at Pearlie Elementary, which is also about $24,000 for 3 years of preschool. So for you to consider that when making your decision.
Do you want to tell me what the basis of your request is? Is it because of the date of her birthday and the cutoff of August 31st, or is there anything else that you think that we should know about this?
No.
Okay. Does the committee have any questions?
Yeah, Carol, what do you know about the law being amended?
That actually was surprising to me to see it, actually, so. My understanding is that your policy is consistent with the law, so this was surprising to me. I would want to do some research on it.
Right.
to-
Do you
to
have any
see.
further information with you?
I attached just the forms that I found off of the Mass State website. I can find you additional forms if you need any.
I think, the conversations that, I did add in your packet some information just to reflect the conversations that Deb and I have had, and she knows that I was going to share with you the information. It really came down, in our opinion, to determining whether or not maybe we felt that her daughter was ready to take the leap, I guess you would say. She's correct, she misses it by 15 days. We do have other children that are in that same situation, and those children are in a class of 4-year-olds this year. 4 and 5-year-olds, which actually that came from my conversation with Deb, as a matter of fact, when she was making the case about her daughter, and then when I did the research on it, I realized that there were other children in that same situation, and brought it up with both Margaret and Amanda Harding, and they were able to create a class of 4-year-olds and some that have just turned 5. The assessment of the professionals working with Emma is that we would not recommend her go forward at this point. And I do understand there's lots of reasons why Deb would like, her to do so. It's just not, in our opinion, recommended at this time.
I'd like to add, there's no research that states she'll be harmed by keeping her back. Born December 31st. I just made the cutoff back in my day, and I never stayed back in school, graduated high school, and went to college. So that data that she's going to fall behind, that's just based on nothing that you can actually prove right now, because it hasn't happened.
Well, the interesting thing, though, is that the educational professionals that have worked with your child do a great in terms of educational.
Emma needs an IEP because she was just diagnosed.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Is she currently enrolled in preschool?
No, she hasn't been.
And
So if she doesn't go to kindergarten, she will be not enrolled in anything until kindergarten comes to her.
which is fine too for some kids. I mean, my 3 kids, they didn't all go to 2 years of preschool. And she's already had 2 years, correct?
Part-time. She was going to go 5 days. This was gonna be the first year she was going to go for 5
The
days.
first year was when we lived in New Hampshire, she went full-time.
Okay. But here she was.
So 1 year here in Georgetown.
Yes.
Okay.
And the superintendent has provided us with a copy of the school committee policy,
Right.
JEB,
So the
entrance
policy-
age,
Yeah, the policy would have to be changed if.
which does say children who will be 5 years of age on or before August 31st of the school year during which they wish to enroll will be eligible to enter kindergarten in September. So are you asking us to make an exception to this policy?
Yeah, so she would like to move on to
To add that
kindergarten.
amended law into your laws.
Well, this is a recommendation. I don't think this is a law. I think this is their petition, these people here, Mr. Ash, all these represent, are petitioning the Commonwealth to change the
Yeah,
act.
so
This is the
that was
suggested
my-
language.
Right, that was my
Right,
next
that's why I
question.
guess I
It's a
wasn't
petition.
aware of it, because I don't think it's been
Been
enacted
approved.
as a law.
Because if it was, we would have received it as the governance to
Well,
review
I
it.
would have thought that MASC would have given an amended policy.
Right.
But this, to me, if I'm reading this correctly, this is what this group of legislators is recommending be part of the law. But
Correct.
I don't believe it's an actual law.
It
So
was-
our current policy is in line with current state law.
Correct. This might end up, eventually becoming law, but it's not at this point, I don't believe.
That it was
It was filed in 13-14.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, if you notice that it has been filed for quite a few years, 13, 14, then 15 again, so without, thank you for bringing this particular document to our attention. But at this point, our policies do fall in line with, the current state laws.
There was other things on the government website. I think it may be an actual law, but I'll find out if I can present that to you at another time or email it to you.
Absolutely, you can reach out at any time, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming.
And we'll
tonight.
definitely research it as well.
All right.
Yeah, that would definitely be something we want to look into. But as Suzanne pointed out, I would think that the MASC would have provided that
And
to
we'll
us.
definitely find out.
But I appreciate you coming tonight and talking to us. So I have your email
Okay.
as well, so I can reach out to you with what we find. And then if the committee would like to see you back, we'll be more than happy to set up a date that's convenient for you.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for the time.
Sure. Thank you for all the information that you provided in your superintendent's report, all the newspaper articles that were included. I appreciate that. I always look forward to looking at that.
Oh, yeah.
So do we want to have Kristen?
I would like to talk about the music program, yes. So we have Caitlin Donovan.
Okay.
Right.
We really
Does anybody
appreciate-
else need more of these? Because there's a few here.
You all have
This is
one.
my request.
I don't-
Yes, yes, yes.
Suzanne, I have it. Yeah. So I really want to thank the committee for allowing Caitlin to come on really short notice. I think she's been so busy, like, doing her thing, getting ready, and the paperwork somehow got lost in the translation, and so I guess you were asking Peter,
Yeah.
and then Peter said, could you please see if the committee could see this, because if you notice the dates, it would be really too late if we waited till our next meeting. So I know we don't like to do things sort of at the last minute like that, but I want to thank you for allowing it to happen so that we can give the kids this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for hearing me tonight and letting me come at such short notice. So what I'm requesting is permission to bring a small group of students from my auditioned chorale at the high school to go to Plymouth State University for the All New England Choral Festival. It's an annual festival that happens at Plymouth State in New Hampshire, and that's my alma mater. And so I've been involved in this festival for 4 years, and I understand that it's a really valuable opportunity for these students to get to sing with students from all across New England and challenge themselves as musicians to work on more difficult repertoire and get to know each other and also get to work in a university setting. I think it's really beneficial to the students that are really invested and involved in the music program here. So it's a great opportunity for those students who showcase themselves every day as being leaders and being people that can represent Georgetown really well. So I would be bringing between 6 to 8 students to this, depending on an application process that I do have applications if you do want to see an example of them. But just to be seeing what their idea of themselves is as a leader and as a musician and as a representation of the Georgetown music program. And I would have to recommend up to 10 students to the director there. And so that's why the deadline is September 26th for that. I recommend up to 10 students, and from that list, because there's so many students across New England applying, he can only take a certain amount from that. So he'll take about 6, maybe 8, depending on the other students that apply. And then I get his, and those students get to go, whoever he decides in the end. So once it's all decided, I would be taking or requesting parent chaperones for this. And the student fee is $30 each, which, since it's such a small group, I was hoping that students would be able to supplement that price themselves. However, we do have a really strong music program or music parents program, and I was going to ask them for help too with that fee.
So what about students that participate in sports? I mean, how's that?
Yeah, so
affect
it's on a
them?
Thursday, it's one day, and so any student that's interested, I'm going to be reaching out to. So this isn't going to, the process for leading up to it and preparing for it, I can work around their schedules for it if they're in sports. And so the one day would be a conflict if they had a game on that Thursday, November 3rd. So that would be the one conflict. If a student did want to go, they wouldn't be able to participate if they're in a game that day. But if they're in sports and it doesn't conflict with that day, then they can absolutely apply and attend.
How many kids are in the choral program?
We have about 60 in Corral, and that's the group that I'm going to be reaching out to, which is great this year. So I'm going to be giving this application to every student because I'd love for all of them to take a part of this, experience it. And it is open to grades 10 through 12, which is which the festival does include. It doesn't include 9th graders, but I am going to be prioritizing upperclassmen for this since it's such a small group, taking that into consideration when I select students.
Especially if we do it every year, then different.
Right,
You know,
then the next
yeah.
sophomores will have an opportunity.
I guess I have a logistical question. I assume, is it parent chaperones driving?
Yes,
and
yeah, I wouldn't be driving. It would be approximately 2 or 3 cars, depending on students.
Sure. Is that an issue in terms of insurance and Corey's and
No, they have to, well, they'd have to be
stuff?
quarried, they'd have to be quarried. But we also have a expectation that they hold a certain amount of insurance, so that it all gets checked out beforehand.
Right.
Okay.
So there's a process for that
Okay.
we have in place. And when you get permission for kids to go, you also make sure people understand it's parent chaperone.
Absolutely.
But we have a process of,
Okay.
there's an insurance.
I know this
There's a
isn't the first time we did it.
liability.
It was one of those.
Yeah. No, it's a good question, because I think people do wonder about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions regarding it before I make a motion? Okay. I will make a motion to approve the trip to the All New England Chorale Festival 2016, 5 days that changed the world, for Thursday, November 3rd, 2016, as presented by the chorus director, Caitlin Donovan.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
So
thank you.
while you're here, the chair and I have been talking about presentations we want to have for the committee this coming year. And Barbie's suggestion was that we would have you and Eric come to one of the upcoming meetings soon. And you could talk about,
Sure.
the program and what you're doing. Maybe Laura, your mentor, since Laura's mentoring both of you, right?
Very helpful.
Would be happy to come and we could do something. So if you're okay with that,
Absolutely, yeah.
we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll let you know and.
Perfect.
you can
Yeah,
come.
that would be great, because I think what I'm looking for mostly is just to see what you have planned. I know parents that I've talked to over the summer are just so excited with the music program that we have, and we just want to make sure that the traditions continue, and just to make the music program the best that it can be, which it has been great.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure, under
No
your
pressure.
direction, that it will continue.
No pressure.
No, but I just, I know a lot of people are very interested.
Yeah.
You know,
No, we'd love to come and speak. And
tomorrow night at Pin Night, I'm sure you'll meet
Yep.
a lot of new parents
Yeah.
and things like that, but I think it's a great opportunity for the community at large just to be able to
For sure.
meet you through the camera and see.
Yeah.
So
I
that
love
would be
it.
great.
Okay, great. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Hayden. Thank you,
I'd
Laura.
love to hear how this goes too.
Oh yeah, we'll have lots of stuff for you on
Great.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye. See you later.
Thank you. Hey, I do want to mention the, let me go through all this before I get to it. The best public high schools in Boston 2016. I do want to highlight that. I think that's very exciting. Anybody that is watching can take a look at this, because I know I enjoy looking at it and then going through like the categories and just being able to compare the different schools. And I know that I was very proud of the district when I saw that, and I'm sure you all shared in that sentiment. I'm sure that
Absolutely,
the
yes.
superintendent
Oh,
and the
absolutely.
administrators, the teachers, paraprofessionals, everybody that partakes in our children's
And the students
educational
doing their
progress.
best,
Yeah, and then the
working
kids
hard.
are just, the kids were very excited too to see it. So.
Yeah, oh, it's
That's
definitely
exciting.
exciting. Lot
And
to be
I
proud of.
need the link for the cafeteria. Heather Torrey, I couldn't,
Oh,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
provided us with
Yeah.
her email,
Yep.
and it said click on
but
this
it
link.
says click on
but it
this
was
link, so I want to see that,
It was on a piece of paper.
how the cafeteria is,
Here is the link that was shared with me, but
Oh,
there's
the
no
one for the,
link.
for
Yeah.
the,
It says here is the blog link.
so when you clicked it, nothing, it just.
We just got it, we got it on paper.
we just got on paper.
Oh, paper. I have not yet figured out how to create a link on paper, so.
So I'm sure
I will-
Heather can,
I will do that.
but I
Let
will
us
do
know
that.
when you
I
send
will
it.
forward-
Oh, absolutely.
I will forward that to you.
Yeah, that was great too, so.
Yeah, that's
Does anyone
very-
want to share anything about that? Top,
You know, I just think our
25
community
American?
deserves a lot of credit too, because they've been very supportive of the school district and, you know, of our students, and it's wonderful.
absolutely
Now,
right.
when this came out last year, I thought we did very well last
We
year.
did well last year.
We're always on the list.
Mm-hmm.
This is the lowest we've ranked, the best we've ranked.
Okay.
I think we were in the 50s or 60s last year. Yeah.
And one year, did we make it to like 47 or something?
Yeah, that was when it was the top 50. We were
Right.
47.
I mean, every year they change the,
Well, that's the
Yeah.
hard part about the comparisons, right?
Yeah, the
They do
way they
change
rank from
yeah,
the
and that's the
so,
criticism of the people who don't make the list often is, it's really not
The rules
apples.
changing.
Yeah, really not apples to
they
oranges.
weight different factors
Right.
and variables.
They do, and
So-
one of the things they do weight also is the per pupil spending. So we're always sort of happy we make the list because most everybody on the list is, $2,000 a student more than we are. But, we've talked about having class size ratios that we thought were reasonable. I mean, that's one of the things that they notice.
And that was heavily.
Our MCAS, the AP scores, those are all things that our students are doing very well on. So that's, it is about performance indicators, so
It's
it's all
great.
good. Yeah. Thank you for noticing that because, and making a big deal in the
Oh, a
public
lot of
because
people notice
I
that.
know a lot
Yeah.
of people are talking about it. And kids deserve it,
Absolutely.
teachers as well.
And it's reflected, I just want to say,
Yeah.
but from all the college students that I've been speaking with, they all, feel very, very well prepared
Yeah, that's right.
where they are for their studies.
That's great.
That's it.
Gotta keep moving forward.
Let's go.
Okay, do we want to talk a little bit about the bus situation?
Sure. We can talk about
Yeah,
that
I'd like
situation.
to hear a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
It woes are.
Well, it took almost a page of the orange notes
It
too,
did.
so it does warrant
Yeah.
the orange notes
It's-
at some
it's-
time.
You said good news, bad news.
It's definitely been the one thing that really has been a little challenging for all of us this opening of school. And it continues to be a challenge. In fact, I wrote a blog that I'm gonna post tomorrow on it. I have a meeting on Friday with Cindy and Barry. Barry, there's really two buses that seem to be the biggest challenge. One is bus 5 and the other is bus 3. And I think Barry's sense, from talking to him about it is, governance, we talked quite a bit about this. And that our goal was to try to get the bus routes organized faster than we had in the past, because parents were finding it was really difficult to plan when they didn't know what time the bus was coming, what route, where their child was on, whatever. So our goal this year was to get all the information out in a much more efficient manner this year. In fact, people didn't have to come in and get their bus passes. We mailed the bus passes back out. The goal was to get it out early enough and then say to people, look, we really need you to get it back by the end of the school year, because we want to create the bus routes in July and then have them available in early August for people so they can appropriately plan. And so that is what we did. So then when they built the routes, they built them around the kids who had registered and left some seats available, because obviously you know that maybe people will move to town, or maybe some people missed it, we're going to apply late. Well, that's exactly what happened. So they built the routes as if the kids that were basically riding were riding, and with a few of these extras, and people came out of the woodwork in August. And so there are buses that the more kids you put on the bus, nobody's over the limit, but the more kids you put on the bus, the more stops you have to make, the longer the route is. So rather than just create a bigger problem by trying to put your finger, in the dike as the water's coming over it, I asked Barry and Cindy and the bus drivers, because they're the ones that drive the routes. So we have the software. The software is fine. In fact, Laura's become a little resident expert. I'm very proud of her. It's easy to work with. It can create the routes. The problem is that they don't really know the condition of the roads. They don't know where it's appropriate to put a stop or not appropriate to put a stop. So the bus drivers who drive it every day are the ones that I think are the best. And in the past, years ago, what used to happen when we worked with First Student, it was in the bus contract that they made the routes, and then we gave them, we worked with them. And to some extent, that makes more sense to me than what we're currently trying to do after watching this process for the last 3 years, despite Barry's best efforts. I think that's worth revisiting, would we want the bus company to do the routes, and then we contribute to the discussion, and then we manage them, basically, which is really more what we should be doing rather than, doing the whole thing on our own. So the bus drivers apparently are meeting with Cindy tomorrow to talk to her about what they would say are some suggested changes, and then I'm meeting with the other two on Friday. So basically, I'm just saying that in my blog, asking people to, they've already made some tweaks. The bus was getting to school late. Bus 3 in particular was getting to school late, and that had to do with the middle high school route was running long, and so it was dropping the kids off late. So they did tweak that by a few minutes on the early side, but now you've got some people who are unhappy because it seems really early to them. So I think we're trying to impact the fewest people, but we are probably going to have to impact enough people so that it's going to make a difference. So that's the process we're engaged in right now. Is we really do need to get it right or better. People are not going to be happy because now the bus colors are going to be a little bit wrong. That's all right. If we have to collect bus passes and redistribute them, we're not going to make a big deal out of it. Because I do think that the color-coded passes are making a difference. That system is working, and the convenience run is working. When I think about the people who were concerned last year, they were mostly concerned challenging the 1.5 mile limit and then just being unhappy because they couldn't get a bus for their child. That's not happening now because there's an option should they choose to take advantage of it. Now it's really focused on some of the routes are really a lot of kids, a lot of stops. So there are kids that are on the bus for 45 minutes to an hour. Cindy and I have talked about 45 minutes is not out of the ordinary apparently as buses go. In Georgetown, when we did the double bus run, people were on the bus much shorter. But 40 to 45 minutes, if we can work with that, that would work. But when it starts getting to be an hour, people start getting a little anxious, and rightly so. So we're continuing to work on it. I don't want anybody to think that, we're just saying, too bad. Because Barry has been working in Cindy individually with everyone, who's come to their attention. And, we're continuing to try to be responsive to people, to their particular situations. And then they know some changes are coming. I just can't tell them. I don't want to tell them what the changes are because I don't know what the changes are. I'm not intimately, daily involved in the actual, Laura knows more about the bus routes than I do in terms of the specifics.
So what will the primary subject be for the meeting? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish on Friday?
I'm hoping to have them, to have us take a look at the routes. Where are the problems? What suggestions would they make for changes? And then if we're gonna make them, what's the process gonna be made to make them, the time frame,
Right.
How do we notify the people that are affected by it? What are we doing about the color-coded bus passes? The logistical kind of things.
Carol, how many people would you say registered for bus after the deadline?
Cheryl, I would be, Laura, do you have any
I
sense
don't
of
have a
that?
count, but it's a significant amount.
I don't think it was half as many. I think we still had a good chunk that did register
The
early.
majority did it within the
On time.
deadline.
Yeah, but you still had a good amount.
But we
Yeah,
still
so-
had a series of
So,
numbers.
why did we not, I know it was a lot for you to have people physically come into the office and get the bus pass. So, why was it such a change? 'Cause remember, we would have to go in there and get it, and if you didn't, then if you didn't have a
Because
pass.
of the limited, timing over the summer, was that it?
Yeah, well, we mailed, if you were eligible, we mailed you the thing, right?
Yep,
And
and then
so,
you would go.
right, so it just was a way to save time for the people too, so why would you have to come in and get the bus pass? If you registered early, or registered during the time before the end of the school year, right, we just mailed you your bus pass as soon as you had a route. So I think it's really the people who A, didn't comply with the request, or B, moved
new
to the
people.
district.
Well, yeah, okay.
And we can't stop that, right?
Yeah.
It's also the first year. I assume the people who've been doing it for 10 years
It's a
probably
new-
didn't even realize
Yeah, it's a
the
new
process
process.
had changed.
I mean, a lot of bus companies, bus towns don't do bus passes, right? And then others that do, it's usually everybody pays except for the K through 6 kids, right? So we're actually talking with the transportation coordinator in Newburyport because they have a lot more kids than we do, and they have a system that they think works. So, in terms of how they create their routes and timing and all that. So
But
we're
are they
trying to-
limited on buses as well?
They have a lot more
Money-wise,
buses.
you
Yeah.
Financially?
Well, their buses are,
A
they
lot
charge
buses.
at least $200
Oh,
a
so they
student
charge for their buses?
In the upper grades.
in the upgrades, everything but K through 6. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, and we cannot apologize enough to
Right,
people.
but our
I
upper
mean,
grades are not the ones that,
No,
have the
we
issues
don't
with.
usually have a
Right,
problem with
no,
our
it's
high school
just-
routes, although
But why is
there
it,
is one that's definitely longer, so there was some adjustment made there, so that's one of the questions that I have for Barry is, okay, so is there a value to going back to the way the middle school and high school routes were last year? Because if you do that, and we know we can get everybody to school on time, and we know that we can get everybody picked up, because Margaret, if I'm right, remember when we did it last year, all the buses were there. Even the 4th and the 5th bus were there by 3 o'clock.
Yes.
And what's happening this year in terms of that? Do you know? They're later than that.
I'd say the first one comes at 3.
There you go. So there were a couple that were 3:20, because I dealt with a panicked mother. I dealt with a panicked mother one day, and so did Laura, where the bus had just arrived at Pembroke. And that was within the first couple of days of school, but again, it was concerning to them, and I
Sure.
totally understood.
Yeah.
We cannot apologize enough, and but we are working on it. We definitely are going to make some changes. I just need to make sure I understand the full extent of the problem before we try to change something and react to something and then create more problems, right?
My real question, are all the buses getting to Pembroke on time now? Which,
Yes.
I mean, I think is the
Yes.
most
in the
important.
morning,
In the
Right.
morning,
but not in the
in the morning
afternoon.
they are.
In the afternoon, they're late.
But it's not students arriving late to school, because
Yes.
I know that's it.
Yeah.
Well, when you make
But
it-
still,
Step
on
one.
the
That
other
was it.
end,
That
you
was
need
it.
them, because they might have after-school activities that
Right.
For sure.
just leave from.
but when we stress to parents that you have to get your kids to to school on time because
Yes.
it disrupts the morning,
Right.
and then our own bus
Right.
kids
Right.
are being,
Well-
We
5,
agree
10 minutes late.
100%.
And then you have parents who, well, my child isn't going to ride the bus, so I'm going to drive them, and so that backs up. We just,
It's a
Yeah.
never-ending.
I do have a couple of friends that have said that their kids take it in the morning, but they won't take it in the afternoon because
Too late.
it takes too long to get them home.
Right. I
So
think people
that's,
do have activities, and that's when I get emails often, that's what
Yeah.
they will
Yeah.
say.
but it really was a long time. It was like a
Yeah.
45-minute time
Right.
frame of them getting home.
Yeah,
That's late.
it's sort of like, it's not the same, but it's sort of like what happened when they had the double bus run. So
Mhm.
remember people on the second bus run, right?
Yeah, they were-
We had 10 kids because nobody would keep their kid there that long. So we definitely have to look at the time. We definitely do. We may have to change the buses that certain kids ride, right? We may have to look, it's just that Georgetown's kind of funny in the way it's layout, is like you have some areas of town where you have a few kids on a lot of streets, and then you have other areas of town like North Street that are very heavily populated, right? So remember when we had the forum last year, people were complaining there were like 3 buses hitting pieces of North
Yeah,
Street?
it was
Well,
North
that's
Street
why.
that got a lot of
But
it.
that's why, right? Because if you try to put all the North Street kids on one bus and pick up anything else, you're gonna have a challenge, but
So if you're successful on Friday and then you get the routes, which I'm sure you will be, yeah. When do you think change might be implemented?
well, I guess I wanna see how big the change is, right? So I would say, I would love to, we're gonna definitely have it fixed in September, but, you know, if I had to say October 1st, you know, just to make sure that everybody understood that we're gonna work on this, and if we're making changes, we have to give people, if we're changing someone's bus and the ride that they're riding in their time, they have to have appropriate amount of time to make arrangements.
arrangements for
So,
themselves.
you know, I just don't know the extent to which the change is gonna, I'll have more information for you, and I will keep you updated on it for sure.
Now, were they willing to take more control of making the routes like for a student did, or?
Well, I don't know, that's a conversation I think we should,
Yeah, because you're right, I mean, the
definitely have.
drivers are the ones that know better
Right.
than any of us.
But Cindy's always had input, has she?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
She
she
has
definitely
input,
does.
but if we're designing the routes and then, you know, we're running them by Cindy, you know, there's a point of which you have to make the routes, right? So I think that's kind of what happened also, because there was a bus driver that Cindy had assigned to kind of work with Barry. But, you know, Barry also doesn't work in the summer, right? So we're using him when he's available and when the bus driver person was available. And I think, you know, they were working under the timeline we gave them, which is early August. So I think they felt some external pressure on that. And, you know, in hindsight, I'm sorry that that's how they felt. I would have wished they had said, it's not possible to do this and do this well. We still have so many other people, you know, that are still registering. We don't have, judging from the number of kids who rode last year, based on the number of kids that are registered, we don't have everybody. But, you know, and they were just trying to do what they thought was right. And, you know, I always feel like, I know Barry's heart is in it, and I do know that he wants to do really well. And Cindy, I mean, I've worked with a lot of people in bus companies, and Cindy is,
Yeah,
she's
great.
outstanding to work with, and she does really try to, you know, pull what's best for everybody.
But we definitely have to get kids picked up.
But we've got to get kids
3:20.
picked up and dropped off in a timely manner.
Yes.
And
Number of students that take out the bus passes, and I guess that ride, because I
Yeah.
guess they do correlate. Is it pretty steady year over year, or does that bounce?
It
around?
bounces some, but I think there are some kids that we know, ride every year.
For sure.
And that's why we take the bus counts in the first couple of weeks to make sure, because that's the one thing, when we looked at the number of kids on some of the buses and they looked tight, we said, well, let's wait the first couple of weeks,
Right.
because some people do get the bus pass and their children don't ride. So we wanted to see how that leveled off. So we don't have any buses where there aren't seats for kids.
Right.
That's good,
So that's a good thing. However,
because that would be a
Like-
whole nother
whole nother problem.
issue.
Exactly. But there are buses that are pretty full, and then, again, depending on where the section of town is, there are some places that you have to stop closer to someone's house because it's on the shoulder of a road, right? So you can't have the stops be, you know, at the end of the road.
Right.
So that's becomes part of the problem.
Do the bus drivers practice their routes before school starts?
That I don't know. So I certainly, when see Cindy, I can ask her. My understanding is that the drivers that are driving this year, the route they're driving is the route they're familiar with.
Okay, because the feedback that I've heard was that when a parent spoke to the bus driver, they said, I'm learning my route, which I would hope that they would practice the route ahead of time.
They
I'll
used
ask you,
to.
but
I know
I
that
don't
they
know.
used to practice the routes, because I remember seeing them before school
Yeah.
started.
I don't know what that comment means, but it could mean, you know, because they're
Familiarity.
based on where the kids live. Like today, Laura and I, a mom came by, to pick up high school student who they've changed in their family where they don't have enough cars to get the child there. So he's got to get the bus. So he kept telling his mother, the bus doesn't come up as far as us. And the mother didn't believe him. And so Laura looked at the thing, she said, yep, you're right, because these routes are organized around the kids who are riding, and there's no one up in that section. So she agreed to have him come down to, you know, the stop. But that's kind of what happens when the bus drivers, it's the same bus and in the same vicinity, but there may be different stops because of where the
The
kids
stop
are
might have been
staying.
at 120 last year and it's at 150 this year.
Right,
or
right,
whatever,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, what we can do is after we get this whole thing sorted out, you know, maybe, you know, at some point we can have Barry and Cindy come and we can talk a little bit about, you know, going forward with bus routes, what, you know, what are the, we can do a little, talk to maybe the bus company to see if they're interested in that and, you know, get a little report, you know, on that. But I wanna let them get through this situation first and try to solve it, and, cause everybody's intention is to do something good here.
I hate to say it, but what would a new year be without bus and
Right.
routes?
There is gonna be a year
There's always
where we're
gonna
not
be.
gonna have it, though, I'm just.
I don't know, I mean, it's,
Is it when we don't have?
It's a
buses?
yeah,
logistical thing.
it is a
that-
logistical thing, but I'm glad to see that every time there is an issue like this, we address it, because the parents are great in telling us, okay, listen,
Right.
this isn't working, and that's what we need to hear.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, kind
So-
of, I guess, to springboard off of the buses,
Mhm.
how has the pickup drop-off been at Pembroke? I guess that's a Margaret question.
Great.
By 3 o'clock, they're gone, everybody's gone
At
at
the
3
beginning of
o'clock.
the year, so this is almost scary, it's going so well.
That's good,
Like, is there a bridge out somewhere? that-
especially with the work being done,
Right.
too.
Well, and I sent an email to the chief
Yes.
and just,
Yeah.
I could not thank him enough because it was that advanced planning and the, you know, coordination, the communication, everyone talking together and, you know, via the police website and superintendent and my This Week and just everybody getting the message out that, you know, the traffic flow, I think it really had an impact and parents were saying, and then all the police presence directing traffic at all ends on Elm Street and down on,
That's
you know,
good.
that main street. So it just really paid off, so it's been very smooth.
Good.
Well, I think the other thing too is, you know, last year everything was new, right? So it took us a while, and this year it was just like everybody knew
Right.
what the routine was. So really, it was
Exactly.
unbelievable.
Remember last year, the buses and that we had to.
And we didn't
come
have
up
the
with a
parking lot,
walkie-talkie
remember, we didn't
system.
have that
Yeah.
parking lot ready
Right.
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Now that's just, there was none of that.
Right.
That's good.
It was pretty amazing.
So everyone just has to be reconditioned.
Well,
Right.
it's, whenever there's change, there's always a little bit of.
Oh,
Yeah.
A learning curve.
Angst.
Yeah, that's a good word. Well,
It
that's
is,
good.
it is angst.
So you'll let us know. And the safety meeting is this Thursday?
It's coming.
And is Cindy gonna be there?
I will make sure
She's-
she's there, I'll ask her.
Because even if it's not convenient for her to come out to like a school committee meeting at night,
Yeah, she
we
could
can
do it
all,
there.
you could- yeah, and then the rep, which is usually myself, I can just update the
Yeah,
committee.
that would
That's-
be just as
that's
good,
easy.
yeah.
Okay, so under financial report, we have some reorganization of secretarial positions, which I found to be very interesting. Yeah, creative, interesting, good. I was happy with that.
Yes.
And it looks like the people must be happy with them if they've been so good about taking over like the additional workload and, I mean, for a price.
Yeah. But less
Which is good,
than
but- yeah.
what the budget was requiring, so that was the
Yeah.
best part of it, right?
Does anyone have any questions about that, the reorganization?
Mine's more of a comment. I think it's a big step in towards keeping expenses where they belong, not charging ultimately athletics expenses into other areas, and I think this provides a much clearer view of where the money is being spent.
And that's what we discussed in the budget and finance, and, you know, that's just a benefit.
And has this already started happening? Is it already in effect? Like the date was August 30th, so
Yes, yes, Joanne is in Jack's office now. Today, Joanne Howard was in, getting that organized, and Amanda Harding is doing her, yep. Because it didn't require any budget transfers, so the budget and finance, subcommittee, had agreed that they could support. Because we just didn't want to have to wait any longer, since there, like I said, it wasn't a transfer situation, it's more of an information more than anything else, and a good news for the budget.
So the people impacted by the changes, Joanne Sherman, Linda Harding,
Cheryl?
And Cheryl O'Leary, right? Yes, that's the other one I missed, you're right, Barb, so she's been doing that, working with Guy.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh,
And
very
Joanne
nice.
Howard, I will love seeing her again
Yeah.
because she took care of the finances when my children were in preschool so long ago. So
Oh, for preschool,
she
that's
was
right.
always great.
I
So
saw
I was
her,
happy to see
saw
her.
her at Pearly today.
Yes,
And
she's
I did
love
retired,
that.
she retired from her job at the town, so she,
Yeah.
she's excited about, this is like 6 hours a week, and she'll do an outstanding job.
Yeah, she will.
So everybody's happy and pleased with this arrangement.
Mm-hmm. Well, we obviously did all the work ahead, I wouldn't have suggested it.
So tomorrow.
If I was going to have a problem on my hands.
Everyone's agreeable.
Yeah, that's good.
So is this permanent throughout the years, or is this just like a Band-Aid until the budget?
The building-based substitute are you talking about, or
No, I'm
that?
sorry,
Everything.
I'm going back, with just about everything, Joanne having 3 part-time positions and Cheryl taking on additional positions and so forth, so will we,
We don't anticipate changing the student activity. I think that's why we did it this way, because we figured this was the way that would make sense logistically for the longest, the duration. So like student activities, as long as Joanne Howard wants to do it, I wouldn't see a change in that. Obviously, Joanne is Jack's secretary now, so that's more
right, but
permanent.
will Jack eventually get back as secretary,
No, this
because
is his
all that
secretary.
does-
Yeah,
This is
that
his
is the
secretary.
secretary.
So that is, okay.
Secretary.
Remember Margaret O'Hare left to go, Margaret O'Hare relocated to the central part of the state. And so she left, and so that was an open position.
Okay.
So Joanne is
He was
filling.
interviewing.
And Joanne's gonna be wonderful.
Yeah. So that's all set. And then,
Excellent.
I'm trying to think what other one the athletic secretary.
Cheryl O'Leary.
Well, we're seeing how that goes. I mean, we debated several alternatives. One alternative was to hire a standalone athletic secretary, right, for 0.5. The problem is, and I even talked to Guy about talking to the Newburyport athletic director to see if the Newburyport athletic director would want to share someone, because they have a half-time secretary and a half-time director there. Then the problem is you have to have them, they have to be available when, you want them to be
Appropriate
available at the appropriate time. The middle school secretary, we had debated, in the discussion we talked about, do we have to reduce that position? We said, no, what, there's enough, because remember we had one less grade, so we decided, let's take a look. It's good to have somebody that's like Cheryl, who's very organized, who's right on site, for Guy. Cheryl's gonna be working one extra hour a day, and 2 additional weeks in the summer, so to do the athletics. So she was amenable to that and was, interested in doing that. So we just felt like to use one of our existing secretaries that was there, that, in the school, that could work, and who could, if there was something, let's say a game had to be canceled, right, and they had to make a phone call, they don't have to be in the athletic office to make the phone call, they could sit at their desk and make the phone call. So the flexibility, we felt there was a greater flexibility. So I don't think we're looking at it as a budgetary situation, Suzanne. I think it was really an attempt to try to, where does it make sense to have people? And then who are the people that we have in-house that it makes sense to utilize? And as Michael said too, pull it apart so that we don't have somebody like Joanne who's literally working 3 jobs and we're paying them out of 3 sources. And so,
She was, you never knew when you saw her what
Yeah,
she
what
was
she
wearing.
was wearing.
What position
Right.
she was in.
So I think this makes a lot more sense, for the district in terms of, but I think that's a great question, it wasn't a reaction or anything, it was an opportunity that was presented to us when Jack selected Joanne. Then it was like, okay, now what are we gonna do? Oh, this is actually an opportunity for us.
Yeah, she'll do a great job too.
Yeah, already
She always
has,
does.
already has,
Yes,
yeah.
she does.
Well, that's good, okay. So I will make a motion to approve the restructuring plan as outlined in Joan Reporto's memo.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're talking about building-based substitutes, which I know we talked about that at the Pembroke.
Right,
So now it looks like we're looking to do that at the middle high school.
right, the same arrangement.
Yeah. Have we selected somebody to do
Well,
that?
that, actually, Peter wants to use Bill Adams for that. So he can be available to do some in-school suspension if he needs to. He can be available to do detention, he can be available to substitute, you know, so it's kind of the utility player, kind of, that's how what Margaret has as well.
Okay, so then that will come from the special ed,
There's a,
Revolving,
yes,
right.
right.
okay. And that was one that
Because-
we lost due to a student being
That's
phased out of
right,
the district.
that's right.
Okay, so we didn't have a need for those
Yep.
positions.
Okay. You guys wanna talk anything about that before I make the motion? Okay, I would like to make a motion to establish a building-based substitute position at Pembroke and Georgetown Middle High School by redirecting district funds as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I do want to take a minute, it's not on the actual agenda, I sent you guys out an email, just letting you know I was going to talk about the charter school position that I think the Georgetown School Committee should make. So I would like to talk a little bit about that. There's a lot going on in the media, all the outlets that we have, talking about charter schools. There is a big question on the upcoming ballot in November regarding charter schools. So the motion that I would like to make is pretty simple, but I do think it's important that we do take a stand on it. So before I do make the motion, do we want to talk a little bit about it, or do you have any concerns or questions you want to bring up?
You know, I would just say that when I first saw the resolution of MTA, it caught me unawares because there was a lot of detail to it. But the more I've looked at it and really examined the premises, the more I've come to be, I agree with it. I mean, I know that's not quite exactly the statement, but I'm just saying that upon further consideration, I completely agree with the resolution.
Petition that they have. Okay.
Yeah, when I read it, I felt like, and I didn't actually write down the specifics, but I felt like there was a lot in there that made it really confusing. So, I mean, obviously, I think we talked.
We
in
did
our-
talk
our
about it.
last meeting.
Yeah.
And how, you know, the idea, like, generally, we don't want to increase the amount of charter schools because it will hurt our public schools. In the state of Massachusetts, right now, we aren't even at our cap. We have kind of a ways to go. But I think the language in there was a little bit tricky.
Anyway,
Yeah, we had, and the, I was in contact with the president of our local union here, and Mike, who's sitting here tonight, was also there along the conversation. So it just seemed, it was fine with them that we just made a statement and didn't have to necessarily go along with that full petition. So at this point, I just want to make a motion to have the Georgetown School Committee make a clear statement saying that we, as the Georgetown School Committee, believe that the current cap on charter schools in Massachusetts is appropriate and doesn't feel at this time that the cap should be lifted.
So moved. Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Before you do your subcommittee, there's just one thing I want to call your attention to under number 6. B, the NEASC letter.
Yes.
dated. I don't know if you had a chance to catch that. But
The visit in 2018.
it's March, so their visiting team would come on Sunday, March 2018, through Wednesday, March 7th, 2018. So right now, we're in, so that's the.
2016.
So,
A year and a half away.
yeah, so I'm just trying to think about budgetary impact. So we're gonna need to talk about that because that's a
year's
significant
budget.
budget. That's next year's budget. That's about a $25,000 to $30,000 cost.
Yeah.
So I just wanna make sure we understand that when we're thinking about it. But, just wanted you to be aware, like, as soon as we knew this.
I just-
Peter had actually asked to have this
This delayed, yeah.
but it's a little hard for us to have any legs on that because we were supposed to be in 2016.
Right.
So they asked
Well, 'cause
us,
they asked us to delay, and then we asked to delay.
Right.
That's right. So we asked for an extension and then they, through the Pembroke
Right.
transition, then they asked us if we would be willing to do a delay. So then Peter did ask them for the fall of 18. And they sent us this letter
The spring of
basically
18.
saying, thank you, but we're coming in March of 2018. So 2018 in March. So we do have to think about that when we're talking about the budget, and we'll just have to make sure the community understands.
Can I just ask why it impacts the budget?
Because it's the cost of the visiting team coming. You have to put them up, you have to feed them.
You do?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they usually bring a team of anywhere between 8 to 12 people. It's a.
Really?
Yeah.
And we don't even have a hotel here in
Well,
Georgetown.
They're gonna stay at your house.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's a B&B.
You know, like the-
The amount of people coming.
The British.
Well, part of it's also,
It's-
we're paying for the process of the accreditation.
Accreditation.
So there's costs
Yes.
associated
There's
with
cost
that.
association with that.
Not to mention that they then tell us to do stuff just like
I
one
just wasn't aware of that, now I am, right.
So it's nothing we have to be planning today, but it is something we need to be aware of. So when I got this letter, I said, well, I'm gonna put it in the next packet, just for us to all,
Where are
be on
they
the same
coming
page.
from that they need to be
They
put
come
up?
from all over Canton.
Oh.
So like what they'll do is they'll put out, they'll appoint a chair, but then they'll put it out, like I've gotten them I get them all the time. It says, we're looking for somebody to be on a curriculum subcommittee going to Tewksbury High School. And then, so we're looking for a central office administrators, or we're looking for building principals, we're looking for teachers. And then you can apply to do it. Your district has to let you be gone for 3 days. It is a wonderful experience.
Learning experience
It's a
for
wonderful
them, yes.
experience, really. If you want to know what the NEASC standards are and what they're really expecting to get on a visiting team. I've served on 4 of them in my career, and I have enjoyed every one.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, but it is a good learning opportunity because
So
you
that-
really do know what they're looking for.
But all these people are from Massachusetts?
They're from Massachusetts, but they could be from all over Pam.
Okay.
So it's not like NEASC has a team ready and waiting. They'll assemble a team of interested people that they vet to make sure that they appropriately are what they consider qualified, and then they'll send them in because they interview, when they're on site, they do a lot of interviews. They have 7 standards that they look at. So they do have a fairly large team because they really do, they do a thorough job.
Okay.
And then as Michael said, there's other things like they write up the report and there's other inherent costs that go with it. Well, we'll
That
get
makes
into
sense.
that.
Thank you.
We'll get into that in a lot more detail as it comes
Mhm.
closer, but
Yes.
that's kind of.
It'll be here before you know it.
It will be here. Peter will start in the spring with his the self-study, which is a year-long process. So we'll have him come before you and talk a little bit more about that. I know Colin will work with him on that. They've already started talking about planning PD for the year and having some of the PD in the spring will be around this.
We're scheduled to go to a training on the 22nd for school administrators that are being that are starting the self-study process.
September?
Yep.
Not to put you on the spot, but how are things going with you?
Great.
Is it
That's why
going well?
he's sitting over there.
Things are really well.
Getting a lot of
nice.
support and.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone's been very supportive, very helpful, and kind of helping me figure out where things, what needs to be done, where my responsibilities lie, and a lot of great people to lean on the first couple of weeks. So it's been really nice.
Colin did a great job. Margaret wrote him a nice note working with the Pembroke teachers around the MCAS.
Oh.
Results in the accountability. Now, here's a guy who's not from Massachusetts, but you would have never known that. You know, he had really done his homework on the test and the standards and
That's
just
great.
knew how to get the teachers excited and talking about. Of course, as he points out, you know, there was good news in the sense that there was a lot of areas of growth. But just the way he engaged the teachers in table groups and the kind of questions he asked, he did a really great job. So I think people are very happy that Colin's here. And
Good.
it's always good to make a first impression, right?
Don't set it too high though.
Oh no, it's high. He's already said it on.
And no information on the MCAS yet? From last year, like when will?
Oh, well, we have, they're all embargoed right now. We have them because we're working with them. That's how you know about the accountability
So
status. So when you and I sit down to do the agendas, we can decide which one,
Okay,
you know, where
I'd
you
like it
want.
to be soon.
Yeah. Well, let's see, we have
Right.
one more in September, right? And then
Is it only one more?
one,
Oh, right, because now it's Monday, so not this Thursday, the following. Okay.
and then we have the first weekend in October. Everything comes out, I think comes out in the, I think it was September 22nd or something, wasn't it? Something in that range. That's when it comes out to the public. But I already told you what
So
the
when,
results were.
for the public?
Something, the week of the 20-something.
Okay.
That's when parents are gonna get their,
I believe that's when all the information is going to go out.
but next year parents aren't going to get reports?
Well, we'll have to talk to you about that. No, parents will get reports, but there'll be different reports next year because they're gonna have the next generation MCAS. It'll look a little different. So we can chat about we might be able to do something, start the discussion on the next meeting and then finish the discussion in October. You know what I mean,
Okay.
depending on what we want us to feature. So do Marvy and I have a meeting? Not yet, we'll get
Not
one.
yet. Okay.
Okay?
All right, so subcommittee reports? Budget and finance?
We met talking about the two staffing changes, which we just voted on. So I think we did a pretty good job.
So that was the purpose of the meeting?
That was
we
yeah,
should
that
talk
was
about
the only things we talked
Yeah.
about.
Well then,
Sorry, that was.
and then Carol informed us about House Bill number 4565 that we discussed. And so, you know, basically it's, what is it? It's recommended by the Committee of Conference for passage last month. So again, it's something that has not been passed, right? It's just recommended. So if it does go through, Section 13E could be of interest to our school district. And it basically says that we may establish an appropriate or transfer money to a reserve fund to be utilized in the upcoming fiscal years to pay without further appropriation for unanticipated or unbudgeted costs of special education, out-of-district tuition, or transportation. The balance in such reserve shall not exceed 2%, which for us is about $250,000 or so, of the annual net school spending of a school district.
That actually that wasn't the governor's budget. That is something that districts and cities and towns can do now in this fiscal year.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right, and so we decided we would discuss it,
At
you
our
know,
next meeting.
at our next
And the
meeting.
Board of
But
Selectmen
I
have to
did
vote
just
on
wanna,
that as
you know,
well.
say we brought it up and just,
So then would budget and
Carol
finance
brought it up
meet
and
to
just
discuss it,
discussed it.
and then,
And
would it be a
then
joint meeting with
Well,
the Board of Selectmen?
you'd have to decide as a school committee if you want to.
I feel like
Why don't
it
you
would
do
be
that?
a joint meeting, just to sort of explain our position
Okay.
on it. Because there are, essentially, it creates a reserve fund or a stabilization fund for special ed. So if we wind up at the end of the year with a balance, we would be able to put that into the reserve fund for special ed requirements for the next year. There are sort of budget implications which we would need to figure out if it makes sense for us to do, and if the town would agree to do it as well.
So instead of going back to the town like we did that year,
Right,
the
looking for more money,
we'd
yeah.
have a reserve account. But there are certain procedures that we have to
Correct.
just, and so if the whole committee thought it was a good idea, then I think we'd have a joint.
Yeah.
So
the
what do you-
dispersal of the funds would have to be approved by the Board of Selectmen and the school committee, so, you know, there's more to be considered.
Mhm. When are you meeting to talk about that?
don't think we have.
I don't think we have it scheduled. But we did want to say that we're planning to meet like every 2 weeks, right? Isn't that what we're saying? Because
Okay.
obviously we want to get a start on the budget, and if we want to have any meetings with the FinCom.
So we'll be meeting next week. Since it's 2 and 2 this week.
And every 2 weeks
Right,
after that.
and every 2 weeks after that.
Yep.
Fine, yep.
And then it'll be once a week for like a period of time.
Exactly. Then every other day.
So, and yeah, then the next meeting agenda items would include an action plan for reaching out to FinCom to begin the FY18 conversations, initial discussions around FY18 priority areas and strategic direction, and discuss potential parent focus group around the budget process, communications to the community. You know, asking,
That's good.
yeah, what kind of issues they'd like to know about in advance, the process between town boards,
What actual information do they want to get?
yeah, the outlook, and what would be the best way to communicate. Would Carol's blogs be, you know, sufficient, or the Georgetown Record, or the school website, or all of the above, or
I
you know,
like the
what
focus groups.
parents would prefer.
Yeah,
What
we've done
they would
focus
like.
groups, that we might do some podcasts, but we can experiment with some things.
Right, so that's topics for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Governance,
We have not met since
No.
our last
okay.
meeting.
Which we need to do a
Yeah.
doodle.
Yep.
Negotiations,
And when would we start those meetings for this year?
Anytime. Well,
For the-
which ones
what's
you talking
the-
about?
For the negotiating.
yeah, what is,
Okay,
what
so
is
we're
the
doing,
negotiation?
this year,
We-
we're doing cafeteria and,
Custodial?
so usually, they usually.
Is it just cafeteria?
And custodial.
Custodial.
Don't
They
normally start
usually send us a letter
Yeah.
saying that they're ready to have that conversation. But usually October, November, we start.
Okay. Public relations,
Not bad.
safety's tomorrow, or Thursday?
Thursday.
And I'm filling in for that.
Yes, thank you. Start school later, we do not have a meeting set up yet, but as I mentioned at the last meeting, there is a parent forum
Yeah,
on
that's-
September 25th at 7 PM at the Masco.
It's a Sunday?
No.
Is it the 27th?
Sunday.
Oh, is it? It's either the day before my daughter's birthday or the day
Yes,
after.
I
It's
sent
the
a
26th.
blog.
I did a blog
Oh,
on it.
you know what, Barbie, I won't have it because my
Is
phone
it
died.
maybe the 27th?
7th, I think.
You're right, yes,
Yeah.
Tuesday, so it's the day
Okay,
after,
all right.
yeah.
So when's her birthday?
The 26th.
So Tuesday the 27th.
Oh, really?
And that's at
Libra.
7, correct? At Masco?
Yes, 7:00.
Yeah, it's on Tuesday, 7 o'clock at Masco. Dr. Judith Owens will be the guest speaker there. That is their first parent forum, and they have graciously invited Georgetown, anybody from the Georgetown community that would like to attend. I think it's a great opportunity for anybody that really has an interest in this, to take the time and
To hear
get
her.
get some questions answered. And we will, the Start School Later Committee here in Georgetown will also have a meeting set up soon.
And that same day, I have a meeting with, remember I told you that I'm part of this little superintendent's group that's looking at this in North Reading? I think I told you about that.
Yeah.
group. That's that same day, 3:30
Okay.
in the afternoon, so.
And we do also have to talk about the MASC conference, because they have asked
Yeah, we should let them
if
know.
we would like to go and talk about that, about
About our
our
process.
initiative here. So yes, we will have to talk about that, because
That's
that
on
is, that's
The
November.
first weekend in November.
I think it was, it
It's a
was
single digit.
early on in the.
Yeah.
Right, so that's always on my other child's birthday.
Oh my goodness.
I know. It doesn't actually fall on his birthday this year, but, okay, so that, November 5th? So it
I
starts
think
the
that
4th,
sounds-
5th, and 6th?
It sounds like that's.
Okay, so we can talk
And
about
that actual
that.
session is on Saturday.
And you already signed up for that?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
It's always at the Cape,
It's always,
right?
yeah.
I wonder why they don't
Thank you
change
for
it
going.
up.
I think they did it, and certainly not when I was there, I think they did it once, not on the Cape, and it didn't
Oh, really? So
work
that
well,
seemed to be the
and
best?
now it's just at the Cape. I don't think they
Okay.
even talk about it anymore.
It's just known to
They
be
just-
down there.
they just book it
So
out.
is
Okay.
that, it's just the 5th, or was it like a long weekend?
It's a.
4th, 5th, 6th.
It's 3 days.
starts-
Oh,
Yeah.
3 day, okay.
No, it starts on,
I can send you a link tomorrow.
When,
The 5th is a Saturday. You usually go down Thursday, don't you?
it's Wednesday or Thursday?
Goes down Monday, so.
November 2nd through the 5th,
2nd through the 5th.
correct. But
Okay.
that actual session is on the 5th, is on the Saturday.
Okay. Thank you for going and doing that
Oh, yeah.
and then reporting back to us because that is always a very interesting time. But it's a lot to go down for a long weekend down there. So I look forward to that, but we can talk about the input that we want to participate in for that. Superintendent's evaluation.
We haven't met, but we should. We'll get a time, because we should go
Okay.
over like what we want the goals to be, and then if you wanted to, at one point, Mark, you talked about, or somebody talked about using the rubric. Was that you, Michael, that was talking about or Cheryl?
We talked
Or
about,
maybe you were talking
that,
about.
from that seminar we went
Right,
to.
okay, that's what it was.
There's
Just
gonna be-
picking, using the they were talking about using the rubric and identifying the
Quarterly.
areas that,
Right,
And quarterly updates or something?
No, it was, it was a rubric that you would use as a guidance when
Yes.
you're evaluating, and,
Right.
you would do that in teaching anyhow, so, probably out here. When you're giving a project or an assignment, you have a rubric to follow, and it sort of grades you, it's like a 1 through 4, 1 being not so great and 4 being exceptional. But then there are standards that are under each group.
yeah, so you
What
pick
you
the
hit
ones
upon.
that you wanted to
Right.
so in
focus
order
on
to
most.
come up with our exemplaries proficiency.
And that would feed the
Right.
actual.
Right, this would be a little more objective way of looking at it, I guess.
Yeah, that is something that should be, a meeting should be soon.
Mhm.
And I think we also
Yes.
talked about uploading evidence, that we could all see it instead of a book or
On the-
something.
Okay.
So we did a meeting.
School building committee, they have a meeting tomorrow.
That's right,
And that's
yes.
pin night too, and I want to just
It
announce that
is.
too. That's pin night for the middle high school, 6 to 8. And then Pembroke, grades K to 3 is Wednesday, September 14th, 6:30 to 8. And then grade 4 to 6, Thursday, September 15th, 6:30 to 8. So it's a busy week
It is a very
It
busy
is.
week.
for the schools. So that is a conflict for you, so you're not going to attend
It
this.
is.
So do we know if, I know
Probably
Michelle's,
not. I have the agenda here. It's,
did she have enough people though? I know her last email said she was going to see if,
as far as I
people would
know,
attend.
she does. If she doesn't, I will cut my pin night short and be there so she can have a forum. But it's basically, reviewing its progress on the punch list and wrapping up the whole process. Update on budget and project completion, MSBA closeout update, so it's a lot of closeout type of,
well, that's good.
yeah,
And the,
information.
I know people have been happier at Pembroke with the way Pembroke looks, which is,
Mhm.
yeah, the landscape looks,
Yeah, Mike's done a
Looks
nice,
good.
Mike and his guys have done a nice job on that.
and the high school I think looks great too. Okay. The flower bed, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the Ritchie family for doing such a great job on the sign outside on Elm Street for Pembroke. That was very nice of them to take that project under, or away from us. So that was very nice
It
of you
looks
guys.
great.
Yeah,
It really
I
does.
you've taken an opportunity to go by.
And the light department is going to light the sign for me.
That's
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow, that's
terrific.
good.
Yeah, I heard from
Good
Dave
news.
Schofield today. We just have to work out some logistics with Peter Durkee as to, does it come off the pole, or is there something that gets dug under the street while the street's being dug up? But their guy Kyle is going
that's
to
great.
meet with Mike. So and they're gonna pay for the electrician, they're gonna pay for the cost of it. So I said, we really need to do some nice public relations, for them, because they're looking at it as community. It's one of the nice things about having your own light department, right? So community service project, and so I really thank Dave and his board and everyone for working with us on that. I
Yeah,
think
that's
it
We
was-
great.
should get all the credit. We do live in a wonderful community. We really do.
Yeah, there's a lot of value to partnerships.
There is.
Well, that's nice, I'm glad. And again, the Ritchie family, the sign looks great.
Yes, it does.
And it will even look better once people can see it when they drive down. With it getting darker out
Yeah.
earlier, right? Okay, that's good. CPAC?
We have our CPAC representative here, Desiree.
Hi.
Great to see you, welcome, so glad you could come.
Thanks for having us.
Let's see, so.
Do we have a
don't
planned
have
meeting to have you come officially, or
Don't yet,
that's what we're gonna be
that's what we're
doing?
gonna be
Okay,
doing, right.
so we'd love to
We are
have you
working
To make a
on that.
presentation
Yes, we
to
are.
us, yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be great
that's
whenever
great.
you're able. And so as far as I know, you're working on an amazing sounding fundraiser, the first annual Trick or Trunk. And you have a location for it now
Yes.
thank you, Margaret.
Thank
It
you.
sounds like it's gonna be very exciting.
Have you ever heard of this?
No.
No.
Here, let me read it. Let's see. So you have to reserve your place ahead of time. Please arrive by
In the parking
5 p.m. to set up your car. So see, there's this picture of a car, and you fill your trunk with like candy, and you decorate the car, so it's all Halloweeny. And then the children can go from car to car,
So it's
kind of
like
like trick or treat,
tailgating.
but for kids. I've never heard of this, but it sounds
Kid-friendly
definitely
tailgating.
so
Wellness policy.
you know.
No, I have
Um,
seen this. I have seen it. It's very cool.
Yeah? Okay, great. Well, let's see, you'll be directed where to park. It'll be $10 per car, family, is that right? And your name will be put on a list for entry. No walk-ins, you must pay in advance. We're expecting 100 to 200 children, so please bring enough candy to pass out. The money will go toward future CPAC charitable events, such as donating a buddy bench, scholarships, etc. We encourage decorating your car in fun or spooky Halloween theme, but it's not mandatory. Children and adults may dress up in Halloween costumes, so please no scary masks or weapons. We have that policy all over the district. So we plan on, there's going to be pizza, water, juice, coffee, and donuts for sale, and all proceeds will go toward the Georgetown CPAC. This event is geared toward Pearly Pembroke students. This is not a middle high school event. Siblings are
Unless they
welcome,
could
but
be
you
a
know,
car, they could have a car.
they could help out. Yeah, right. I mean,
Yes,
they're welcome.
anyone can have a car.
Yes, yes. And the Georgetown Police Department will be ensuring the safety of the event. So I'm very excited about this. It sounds like a
So that's
wonderful
Wednesday,
idea.
October 26th?
That,
What's
yes.
the time?
5 p.m. setup and check-in, but the event is 5:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, I love that, how it's something different.
Yeah, that's very
Cool.
different.
Yeah, that's
thinking,
awesome.
thinking out of the box. You're doing a lot of that good stuff that way lately.
Yeah, that's great.
So, and what else? You also have, the CPAC has a new brochure, very nice brochure, which will be handed out at Pin Night this week.
Yes, it
Is
will
that
be
right?
debuting at Penn Night, yes.
Terrific. Yeah, and so that's Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on your child's grade at
And
Pembroke.
Wednesday.
Or
and Thursday.
Wednesday, I'm sorry, Wednesday and Thursday, right, because I'm gonna be at the Thursday, yeah. Okay, so, yeah. So everybody stop by the CPAC desk and say hello, and you can learn more about the organization by talking with folks there, and, yeah.
Desiree, did you wanna say something about the meet and greet?
Is there,
Yeah, so we're also planning a meet and greet,
Yes.
and we have some workshops coming up as well. We're still kind of nailing down all those dates, and so I don't want to announce any dates and make it official yet, but I'll definitely have that information at midnight, and we'll be handing that out, and we'll be emailing it out to our email list and getting it out there on Facebook
Then we're gonna
Great.
meet and greet Jack, right, cause the.
with the new
director.
special education director.
That's great.
yeah, that'd be wonderful. Looking forward to it.
Good, that looks nice, I like that. Good job on that.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, good.
Okay. For new business, we have a nice donation to accept. It seems like every meeting we have something to accept, which is just another example of how gracious everyone in the community is. So we have 2 sets of parents that have donated buddy benches. And I didn't know what they were until the last time we talked about it, and I think that's great. So for some people that out in the public that don't know what they are, a buddy bench is a place where children can go and sit and with others, and they can choose to join them. So if kids are sitting there and other people see them sitting there, they can go and join them and be their buddy. It's very cute. So they will be positioned out in the,
One will be on the intermediate playground and the other will be on the primary.
okay, so it's like it's like the bench that we used to have when you walked into Pembroke? The long bench, or is it like a standard size bench?
I actually haven't seen them because we're waiting to see if you accept them.
Yeah.
They are, I think they're nice. They're not the standard wood bench. I think they're.
Like the timeout bench.
They're not
That's not what they are.
Right.
How did,
That's so nice.
did we solicit donations? I'm just curious.
Well, it is very interesting the way things happen. We had been talking about it internally, having the buddy bench. You know, it is a part of that whole responsive classroom, PBIS, and, you know, just building a community. And literally, as we were talking about it, then one day, Gina Tebow emailed me and said, hey, I just saw this great thing called a buddy bench. Would you be interested? I'd love to donate it, you know, in the name of the realty company, Keller Williams. And I said, you're not going to believe, we were just talking about this. So, and then I said to her, I hate to even ask this, but how about two? Because where are you going to put it? You get one.
We're so appreciative, but
another one. And then actually, then she emailed me and said the Gilmore family would like to donate as well. So it really just, you know, we both had, we had been thinking about it internally, and then she had read about it and was interested in donating.
Great.
So it worked out well.
yeah, that is neat. Okay, so if we approve it tonight, they're gonna go out tomorrow?
Well,
Because we have them now.
actually, they're not gonna go out tomorrow. What we're thinking now is that we will make it a part of our first community gathering. We'll bring one in sixth grade are preparing a skit. Because there is, it's not really a protocol, but there is a curriculum that goes with it. So you teach students how to use it and what it means if somebody's sitting on it and how to respond. So that will be our first gathering, and then you know, one of them will have a plaque. It's in honor of Laurie Condon Hodges. So, and then they'll go out.
Right, okay. Well, that's very nice and very generous of these people to do that, so we appreciate that. So I will make a motion to accept the bench donation to Pembroke School from the Gilmore family and by Gina Tebow from Keller Williams Realty in memory of Laurie Condon Hodges.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very nice. Okay, I don't think I have anything else on my agenda. Does anybody else?
No.
I'm shocked. Okay, there is no need for an executive session this evening. So at this point in time, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:25 or 8:24 p.m.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you, good night.
Thanks.